our commitment, and we followed through. After the election, we've analyzed the data, and we want to show you what we found. I'm taking this out because it's falling out the thing. And we just want to present to you what we've analyzed post-election, and I think you're going to find it's pretty alarming. So can we just go to the next slide? It's an overview. Right here is the statement that President Trump recently posted in August, where he said he's going to tackle election integrity through executive order. Does everybody remember this post? And he specifically targets vote-by-mail ballots and the machines, okay? So when you hear people now say that we need to get rid of vote-by-mail ballots, it's not Billy, it's President Trump. We just happen to agree with the president, okay? I think by the end of this presentation, you'll see why he says what he says. So next slide, please. Before we go any further, we're just gonna go over a quick overview of the political landscape in the county. This chart's busy. If you can go to the next slide, Angel. All this chart here is showing is the current breakout of registration amongst party. Republicans, I'm happy to report, outnumber Democrats. That's a great thing in Hillsborough County. We are officially a red county.
Yeah.
Go back to one slide. If you can't see the numbers, that's okay. These numbers aren't actually accurate. This is as of July. I checked today. In July, the current voter registration, that's the number I want you to pay attention to, was 801,000 voter registrants. Okay, that was of July of this year. It's 806,000 this month. On voting day in November, it was 857,000. On voting day in 2020, it was 935,000. So what has happened over the last 4 years is somewhere 130,000 ghost voters have been removed from the voter rolls, and we want to find out what's going on with that. So remember this number, next slide. This slide is pretty simple, just a bar graph, and it shows the voter preferences over the last the last 4 general election cycles. Blue is in person, green is early voting, and yellow is absentee, which has been hijacked by the term vote-by-mail ballots. Absentee ballots are for those folks that are deployed overseas or government, military. I've done that. I spent most of my professional career overseas. Very familiar with absentee ballots. Vote-by-mail ballots is completely different. That's a willy-nilly, you're sitting at home and you get your ballot, you know what it is. What this chart shows us is a lot of things, but most importantly, vote-by-mail ballot, and this is just general across the county, vote-by-mail ballots are not the voter choice of preference. Rather, we're seeing a steady growing preference in that green chart, which is early voting. That is hands down the preferred voting choice in Hillsborough County. So when you hear the narrative that vote-by-mail ballot is the preferred voting mechanism, that's not true, okay? Save the year 2020, which we call the year of fraud. Obviously, look at the vote-by-mail ballot turnout, okay? Incredible. This was because vote-by-mail ballots were sent out mandatorily. There's been some changes now that you have to request them, and there's been some challenges with that, but you can see in 2024 that's clearly fallen off. And early voting is the voter preference. If you look at 2020, does anybody see that red dot there?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody's got a question like, what's that red dot, right? When we were campaigning, we said, hey, there was 21,800 blank ballots passed in 2020. Nobody seemed to want to question, all right? At the time, if a ballot was blank, it can be disposed. So those ballots are gone. They've been incinerated, all right? The bottom line is those were legitimate ballots that were probably destroyed. If you look, that red dot in the previous years, there's actually a number there, but it's negligible. It's spiked in that year. And we challenged Craig Latimer on it, and he's yet to give anybody a definitive explanation of what a blank ballot is, what those ballots are, where they went, and it's highly concerning. That's just one of the many anomalies we're going to look at. So if you go to the next slide, this slide's very interesting. This is just general voter turnout in the primaries, the last couple primary races, okay? And what you can delineate from here is that nobody's participating in the primaries. We have a consistent 18 to 20% turnout. This is across the spectrum, both all parties, okay? Nobody's showing up in the primaries. It means a lot of things. You can analyze that. As a group, to get our candidates elected, we understand that if there's going to be fraud, the fraud's going to be much more effective in the primaries because there's less of it needed to make the outcome that you desire, right? Secondly, we have to start questioning all this money and effort. You hear all these good things everybody's doing to get out to vote, to get extra voters registered. Yet every election cycle, we see the exact same turnout, no matter what the issues are, no matter who the candidates are, no matter how much money is put at the issues. We see consistent turnouts. That's a question that we need to start asking, because there's too many people doing too much good work to not show better results. There's something going on there, okay? Now go to the next slide. Watch this. Bang. General elections. This is just the county. We suddenly spiked to 80% turnout, all right? Some of them amongst the highest in the country. Maine is the highest voter participation in the country, and they are consistently at 85%. If anybody makes 85%, it's national news. We are consistently, as you can see, at 80%. Now here's where it starts to get interesting. Remember, in July, or even now, we're at 806,000 registered voters. There are what's the number on the total voter turnout? I think it's 670 total voters voted in the last election. Do you realize that's nearly 86%? All right? Now, if you take the voter turnout from 2020 versus our current registered voters, that's 90%. Okay? So there's another anomaly. These are all individual anomalies that in and of themselves should be investigated, but they're starting to pile up, all right? So now you can see why people are starting to have questions, all right? And this is the message to everyone. There is so much raw data out there that you can't hide the cheat anymore. There's AI, there's Elon, and there's little old me, a nobody, who can clearly point this stuff out, okay? You can't hide it. There's so much raw data to pull from. You don't even need to do an audit anymore. So let's go to the next slide. Very interesting chart. We talked about population growth and voter registration increases in the county. The blue line is the population growth. The red line is voter registrations. Suddenly in 2021, despite increasing population growth, voter registration starts to plummet. Why is that? Well, I offer, in 2021 is after the year of the fraud. The state, our legislation, thank goodness, the election integrity advocates in this county and legislators in this community advocated for implementation of new election integrity laws. And one of them was that SOEs every year have to report, actually every quarter, the removal of all their ghost voters. And everybody, just to be clear what a ghost voter is, it's simply somebody that hasn't voted in the last 2 general election cycles and hasn't responded to a correspondence sent out by the SOE or showing up to a voters to vote. At any point, they would be re-registered. So we have clearly, for the last couple of election cycles, had over 130,000 ghost voters. And we've had voter turnout that's so high, it's unexplainable, that clearly it's very probable that some of these ghost voters perhaps were using vote-by-mail ballots to sway the elections. Okay, all right, just a theory. Let's explore further. Next slide. This breaks it down by party. The blue, Democrat, of course, red, Republican, Greens, NPA, and other all combined. Over a 12-year period, you can see Democrats have dominated, supposedly, the county registration. However, once you that stars off a little bit, okay. But what you see here is once the implementation of the new election integrity law goes into place, Democrat and NPA registrations fall off the charts. And suddenly, Republicans outnumber the Democrats in Hillsborough County. Okay? Starting to see a trend here? We're not the only county, guys. So we're not unique, but just FYI, 2012 is when who started to become our SOE? Craig Latimer. Man, he's a champ. Next slide. All right. Now, this slide's very interesting. It's going to create a bit of a paradox, so stay with me. We've established clearly vote-by-mail is not the preferred voting mechanism. Can we all agree? All right? And I would argue, especially amongst the conservative base, Hillsborough County is now a red county, probably not the voter choice, right? This is Republican winners in the primaries. And what you see suddenly is that vote by mail is almost mandatory if you're going to be successful. Look at every victor is at almost a 50% or more vote by mail ballot turnout, far exceeding any other method. So for all your candidates out there and all you consultants out there, If you intend to be successful in a Republican primary and for the Democrats, it shows similar in the Democrats, you better have a very, very strong vote by mail ballot strategy, like it or not. That's the reality. So you can understand the paradox now when the president's saying we must eliminate vote by mail ballots, because what kind of dynamic would that present in our primary elections? You see? So we have some challenges. But it's something that we must think about, because if that change is coming, then a strategy on how we campaign is certainly going to have to change. People aren't going to be able to literally mail in the vote on the primary. They're going to have to get up and go vote. You understand? Is it making sense? We're tracking. Now we'll find out if those people are actually voting or not, too. Next slide. All right, and that just further shows, like, this is the percentage-wise, and it's tremendous. Nearly 50% on the Republican side, and it's the same on the Democrat. So if we eliminate vote by mail ballots, we completely eliminate the dynamic of the election process here in the county. And this is similar across the state. It's not just unique to Hillsborough. But this is just to illustrate. You understand the dynamic that we're in and the challenges? Hold on, let me get through it. You can text me the question too, Tom, I'll see it on my phone. Next slide. All right, this is the kind of the crux. When we started this brief, we experienced a lot and saw it firsthand. We already knew some of the challenges that were out there, but we wanted to bring forward some of the other things that maybe are not common knowledge to the community about what is election security and integrity. Because it's not just like, let's stop vote by mail ballot. It's a very complex and dynamic process, and there's lots of layers to it. Because there's a lot of interests, political interest, self-interest, and it's politics. Everybody has an agenda and they all want to win, right? And there's a right way to win, in my argument, and there's a wrong way to win, right? As long as you're within bounds, that's fine. But this is the gray area that everybody plays in. So we try to simplify it. Direct, interference with vote by mail ballots, indirect, a little bit collusions. These things are all pretty self-explanatory, and outside and external influences, which we know are happening. And every one of these things on here, I can point to an incident that is ongoing or has happened in this county. Some of them are not flattering, so we'll leave it alone. But I do like to point to the one of the candidate slander, because it's no secret when it became clear in October that we were going to get victorious, our campaign was hit with a slander campaign. And it's been going on post-election. And it's drawn in my wife. They signed her up for battered spouse groups, for prison pal groups, right? So this is the games that are going. It's a very dynamic process. We talk about bringing in new candidates. But when there's efforts out there that do this stuff, it really dissuades candidates. So we have to be cognizant of what's going on so we can recognize it, we can attack it properly, and we can engage and be victorious. These are challenges. I'll let that marinate for a second. That's where all the juice is, guys. Next slide. I'll leave it alone. So how does this all manifest? What does this mean? What does it actually turn into? What does it look like for us? Well, let's start with the guy that's counting votes. Not because it's me, because we won. We won. The people won. It wasn't me. But if you can't see those numbers, that's President Trump's, Vice President at the time, Kamala's results. President Trump has 342,000 votes. Kamala had 321,000 total votes. Go look at how many Craig has. 800 more than President Trump. 20,000 more than Kamala Harris. The man's so damn popular, they should have ran him for president. He would have smoked President Trump. Are you kidding me? But it gets better. Look further, if you can't see the numbers, it's day of and early voting. We're winning by 30,000 votes. An insurmountable number. Folks, when I tell you that the governor's office and people were calling, they were calling. It was assumed that we were going to win. Boom. Look at that vote by mail ballot turnout. 129,000 vote by mail ballots. More than anyone on the ballot. So you know what that means? There are literally thousands of vote by mail ballots with just Craig Latimer's name checked on them. Now you understand why they don't want audits and transparency in their elections. Make sense? There's another race that this mirrors exactly, and that's John Balance. John Balance should be your property appraiser right now. The exact same outcome in John Balance's case. Okay? Next slide. All right. This slide's busy. Can't see it. If you want, like you're in church, open up your Bibles, go to your phone, go to votehillsboro.gov, go to the 2024 general election. Don't even worry, just trust me. This is the final, go look at the summary report. This is the final report that he has to submit to the state and says, here's our results. If you look at this report, you can zoom in, if you go online and look at it, it's better that you see it yourself. It's clearly doctored. There's different texts, there's different shades, there's different fonts. It's hilarious. There's remnants of previous data. It's so egregious that we had to file an FDLE criminal complaint. And Craig is currently it's being investigated, and he's been questioned. And you know what the Governor Sterling Award winner said that this is a result of? A bad printer and fax machine. A multi-million-dollar operation with our most important document that comes out of this county. He's gonna produce, when you guys see this up close, it's alarming. It's alarming, all right? So, this isn't the best board for that, but trust me, it's there, and it's under investigation. So that's one of the FDLE investigations we have ongoing. Next slide. This just breaks it down. You can see it a little bit more. It's in certain races. It's embarrassing, okay? And actually, during this last election cycle, because we had challenged Craig so much, he changed the style of report that he submitted to the state. Previously, he just printed it off the machine and submitted it. Now he's submitted this new report, which obviously is meant so he can audit it or edit it. We know it's been edited. He removed the reporting of blank ballots altogether. He doesn't even want to talk about them anymore. So he's just not reporting them. So we know it's been edited. So we'll see where that goes. Next slide. This is the old original report, just to kind of show how much cleaner it is, but again, you can't really see it here. Just if you go want to look at the summary report online, it's there. You'll be appalled. Next slide. All right, these are case studies. These are all things that are happening, the articles in the national news that we're in. This is us making fun of Craig, because I like when he wears his underwear on his face. And he puts his name on it, like your mommy would put your name on your underwear when you were 4 years old. This is our supervisor of elections. I don't mean to dehumanize the guy, but this is the guy that's responsible for counting our most important vote. And I take it very seriously how disrespectful he is to the service of all the veterans, me included, my family, and everybody else that served. You understand what I'm talking about? Yeah. I take it very, very seriously. That man wearing underwear on his face is counting our votes. All right, next slide. All right, I get it. Maybe you don't like Billy. Maybe you don't like John. I don't like Billy. So who cares that they lost? All the other Republicans won, just those two didn't win. I like everybody else. All right, I can buy that. That's human nature. Let's talk about something we all care about, and that's our money. There were 3 referendums on the last election cycle. Marijuana, abortion, and a property tax increase. Yeah. Nearly $200 million were spent between marijuana and abortion, neither of which passed. $0 spent on the tax increase, and it passed with 67% approval. In a red county. Now, I have yet to find, I've briefed this about 20 times, I've yet to find a single person in a room to raise their hand to admit in this county that they voted to increase their taxes. Anybody want to step up and be the first? I didn't think so. More importantly, our governor is going around campaigning for everyone that we're going to get rid of property taxes. Well, Mr. Governor, according to the voters here in Hillsborough County, we want to increase our taxes. What are you talking about, sir? Either the governor doesn't know what he's talking about, or maybe there's something wrong with our elections. Oh, by the way, how did that get passed? Let's go look at that vote by mail turnout. Of all the referendums, almost double vote by mail ballot turnout. Okay? For the property tax increase. My guess is you're going to find about 20,000 Craig Latimer property tax increase. Yeah. Craig Latimer property tax increase. Yep. We'll never get an audit. Next slide. All right, so here's what we're doing. Everybody asks, Billy, what are you doing, man? This is egregious. What are you doing? You're not doing enough. I agree. I wish we could do more. Yeah. We filed 2 FDLE complaints. All right, the first one we talked about for the doctored report, and Carmen hit earlier on there, the other one that we hit on. Because of the vote by mail fraud, the state now requires you to provide a driver's license or your social security number to request a vote by mail ballot. Anyone that's sent out without that is a state felony. In Hillsborough County, Craig Latimer sent out over 4,000 we call no-no ballots, all right? This is his own report. He sends his own report to the state. He admits, I sent out 4,000 illegal no-no ballots. What's worse, over 3,000 of them came back with votes on them. That's under investigation. It's not the only county. Over 500,000 were sent out across the state. Now, I'll theorize on that quickly. Vote by mail ballots are essentially a commodity in the election world right now. And because they've tightened the access to them, they probably needed a few more. So they rolled the dice, sent out some no-no ballots perhaps, and they said, let's see what happens. Because this is a new problem. It's a result of the new laws. So that's the second one. We followed up on the FBI investigation. That's still ongoing as it required. Guys, 58,000 of us had their driver's license and social security number stolen from his office in a cyber criminal event, and we believe very strongly it was somebody with local ties. We want to know, is our election secure? What is the status of this investigation? Why is it 3 years going? Why aren't our elected officials asking for an update? Okay, that's what we're trying to get to. We want to get answers. Next question. What can we all do? Excuse me. Well, that's ask the question. We want to get the information out. We're not asking for anything. We're not asking for votes. I'm not campaigning. We're not asking for donations. We just want to spread the word so that you guys are informed, so that we're all informed, so that we can strategize appropriately and we can take action where necessary. And some of that action, unfortunately, as uncomfortable as it may be, is holding our electeds' feet to the fire and simply asking them the question, what is the status of these issues? We demand answers. We want to know that our elections are secure. Anything short of that is a failure to our community. And that is uniform to every single person and every party. It's that simple, okay? If that's a problem, then shame on me. I'm a problem. We need to ask the questions. Follow up. Participate. What these people are doing is a tremendous and a thankless effort. It truly is. Getting out, going to these gun shows, sitting there, it's not pleasurable all the time. Going and knocking on doors in the heat of Florida, you know, not getting thanked. It's truly a thankless thing. We need to appreciate it. There's too much work and effort going on to undermine it by cheating. And we know it's happening, okay? Next slide. All right, this is just more jibber jabber. Next slide. All right, I'll open it up. Questions? The office that's doing the investigation is the FDLE Office of Elections and Crime and Security. And Ms. Jillian Pratt, the director, we actually just had a meeting with her about both of those. And they want to process, they want to press on them. They really do. It's just, there's a process. So it's under investigation. Well, okay. This one will get you, there is a third FDLE investigation ongoing that we're not directly involved with, but it involves individuals that were trespassed from a hotel prior to the election. They were brought in from Georgia to fill out vote by mail ballots. And the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office cleared them out of the hotel, questioned them. That investigation's been turned over to the FDLE, and that's still ongoing. So we know what's happening.
Yeah. Hey, Billy.
Yes, sir.
Kirk Christian, the 527, Nelson Defense Florida, election integrity advocate from the start of the past the 2020 election. One of the things they noticed, what is happening with that report with Court Byrd, Secretary of State, if it's easily identifiable as been doctored, since all 67 counties should have to use the same format and not leave it up to the SOE to decide how they're going to submit that data to the Secretary of State.
Yep, that's a good question. It's not a well-known fact, but each individual SOE can submit whatever form they want as their final report. They have some pretty loose flexibility in that. And the Secretary of State is an unelected bureaucrat in Florida, but he runs the election apparatus for the state and actually dictates the laws. And in this, while he is the appropriate person, they have created this new organization under FDLE to investigate and prosecute election crimes. So at this point, as far as he's concerned in that realm, it's under investigation.
Okay, so what, I think that we're all looking at this going, this information is very true, probably overwhelming, but like, what statutory laws are you going after? Like, there's a, USC code. I feel like if you could attach like some kind of code to it, some kind of teeth to it, say he's breaking this law,
Absolutely.
this code, and then we can start building upon that. Because right now, I see a lot of the information, but call him out. What code is he? What law is he breaking? And I feel like this is excellent. I absolutely 100% agree with you. But I want to know, where do we start? Hey, defend yourself. What is the USC code or the CFR code? What are you breaking? And defend yourself. Because right now, we're just all speculating what you might be doing. I don't care if FDLE comes out and says, oh, we're looking into it. No, I'm telling you, Craig Latner, you're breaking this law. Tell me that you're not. Because I think right now, he's operating in an ambiguity. He's like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything wrong. No, you are USC code, ... and I'm going to get you according to the law. And I feel like we're all looking for that. We know what's going on. We understand what's going on. We saw 2020. We saw that spike go vertical. We know that shit is not real. But my point I'm trying to say is, what law did you break? And that's what I hope that from here, you find some little indiscriminate code. I don't care, USC 152.19 blah. Make it a shirt. I'll wear it every day. I'll go walk by his freaking office and I'll wear it and I'll be like, yo, Craig, I'll go to lunch and I'll fucking wear it. So my point is, get him to say he didn't break the law.
That's a great point. And each of these